Hi there, Blender folks. Welcome to another Blender walkthrough speed through tutorial. Before I dive into our beginner guide to Blender, the series that I'm trying to get out there for you guys who want to get into Blender, I want to first talk about the animation process, how I go about creating my animations and how I approach any project from a script to the final thing you see on the screen. So I did work on some few projects and I'm still working on them right now. You can see them, some of the ones that I'm busy with. And they're coming along quite okay, I guess, because I'm a one-man show. I don't have a crew or something like that to kind of aid me in doing this. So I just wanted to talk about how I approach this. And if you would like to see how I go about doing, I write my story from a script to the final thing. It's quite of a process, but yeah, I did learn a lot of animation online. I'm not a professional animator or anything like that. I spend a lot of time trying to learn how professionals and other people try to create animations. Animations takes a lot of time to create. I'm sure you know that it's a process. You don't just wake up and say, "Oh, boom, I want to make an animation." No, it takes a lot of time to kind of get into this and then also learn the skills. It's a skill. It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice. You must continuously learn. This thing, so you don't just uh, say I want to do this today and then you do it. I'm sure as a kid maybe we most of us, I know I grew up watching Naruto and I was like, damn, I want to make something like that. So it inspired me to kind of get into this field. So I wanted to create something even better than that. But little did I know that, oh, this this is a lot of work to create. So yeah, it was kind of a reality check to see that no, it's a lot of work, and you have to spend a lot of time trying to understand whatever you wanna, like there are different types of animations, right? So there's the traditional one from where you may be drawing, and now there's this 3D, so which is widely being used. So it just seemed more better for me to kind of get into it. I didn't want to be wasting pens and papers and all that. So 3D animation just seemed like the better choice to get into animation. So yeah, I'm sure Mashashi is Mashashi, right? Mashashi Kishimoto started somewhere. So even as if you are trying to get a show out there, you will have to start somewhere. So this is where I began. So yeah, I would like to also maybe teach you guys if you want to get into this, and just kind of let you know what you're getting into. I believe that the rewards are great in create when you want to create stuff like this, because you're bringing something that was not um alive previously, but now you're bringing this thing into life. You're giving character, you're giving life to something. You could always look at it and say, wow, I did that. So yeah, let's just get into this before, because on the next tutorial I want to be going through the basics or the interface of Blender and getting started for the absolute beginner who wants to get into animation and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I said before, maybe before we go even further than that, let me just kind of share what I go through into creating my own animations and what you see here right now on the screen. So yeah, this is just a project. It's called my Girl Scout Academy that I'm working on, and some other couple of projects there and there. So yeah, the first thing that I normally do, you must have a story. You can't. I don't know what are you gonna do without a story. You need to have a story, and it needs to be a good story. It just, damn, it bothers me when I see a story that just start out okay and then it just looks interesting, and then along the way things just start to change like drastically, and they just, damn, it's just annoying. So everything in a story must connect in a way. I love how, to me, how I see Attack on Titan. I love the story. I feel like it was just laid out, you know great. Maybe these last ones, I don't know. I don't know, I haven't been keeping up much, but uh, the initial ones, the ones that from maybe season 1 to about season 3. Those are really just great, and it's because there was a manga that was planned. The writer, um Hajime Zamaya, is something like that, yeah. So he wrote his entire story right before they could even do anything, and it was adapted from that. So that's what makes it connect, unlike just a story that was just usually what I'm talking about is like it happens usually in soapies. I feel like the writers, I don't know what they're drinking or smoking, but it just doesn't connect somewhere along the line. It's just a cycle that it's just not connected, and it's just frustrating to see that there is no story. You can just see that here there's no story, nothing was laid out, the characters, they just drift around, there's no development, and that's just not okay. You would want to see a character, because the characters are made by a series of events, right? Someone shouldn't do something that's just out of character. They should all build up to something that, oh, this was kind of seen, though, even if it might be surprising, but you might say this was kind of seen in a way, not just something from random and you see that, no, this just doesn't make sense. It's just frustrating, and that comes from a lack of story. You need to have a good story and lay out your characters carefully and know their development and what will shape their choices and their development in the story, right? You must know beforehand that something like this is going to happen, but there must be a series that builds up to those moments that will kind of amaze you, but still, let's say, yeah, it's justified. You can say that things just don't happen randomly. So this, I think, is what makes a good story and also what breaks it. So you must have a good story, have it laid out okay, and then know your stuff. So don't just jump into a production. Maybe you have a lot of money, then you just say, you know what, today I'm feeling a story, let's just develop this. No, it needs a lot of time to plan your story so that it makes sense. Before we invest our time and you just, damn, you just waste of time. When I'm thinking about this story, I'm thinking more about, I've been watching Riverdale. I don't know if you watch Riverdale. At first, the story, it was really interesting to me, but then it just started to derail into it's just a cycle of friends. I don't even know what's going on anymore. But anyways, let's move on. And the second thing is planning. Planning is very much important when you develop a story, and we very much take it lightly, and it's so important that it might be even more important than the story itself, because if you don't plan, you're just planning to fail, right? That's the saying, I believe. So you have to plan your story. I usually do, but I don't really do that because I'm working alone. It's not like I have to create, but I can, but I just feel like it's a waste of time, because what I'm trying to do with this project is just a kids series. You can see the style that I'm going for. There is a kids series, so me trying to create storyboards, I feel like it will be kind of a waste of time, because I'm working alone. I'm not trying to share my idea of what I'm trying to do and or what is going on in an episode or something like that. I generally know from the script. I know, okay, this is what is happening. But if you are in a studio where you are working with other people, storyboards will be your best thing. You have to do them for each episode so that you know, and then everyone in the group knows what is happening in the whatever short or whatever episode you're working on. They need to be aware of what is going on, who's who, and what are they doing and where they at, right? These are the planning that you must take into account. This is where you might be developing the concept art and all that kind of stuff, just to visualize what is going on in a scene. We don't just jump into a process. But for me, since I am alone, from my story, I can jump into kind of creating the animation themselves. So I would say in planning, you need your storyboards. They are very much important. So since these ones that I'm creating, they are short, about maybe 15 minutes. So I don't need that storyboards. Since I'm alone, it will be a waste of time for me, like I'm saying here. The next part that I generally go to will be animation. You can see here, I'm just jumping from my story to the animation because I'm alone. I'm saying, okay. So if you were in a production, you'll be moving from the story to the planning, which is your storyboards and your concept art. And before you even go to animation in a production house, probably you want to create an animatic. And animatic is just it's just the whole scene, or maybe the whole movie, or the whole episode seen in a less I would say they are more like still images. The motion between whatever characters are speaking or whatever is happening in the scene, it's not um it's not dynamic. It's more static. It's just to get a sense of who's who and what are they doing in that scene, right? So it's not that much interactive and not that fun to watch like the finished product. It's just static uh characters. If they are characters, just it's more mainly just to focus on the dialogue and to get the timing. And this is where you usually add your background sounds and environmental sounds, stuff like that, just to feel what is going on before you commit your time to animating the entire thing, right? So that you don't waste time. And then if you want to make changes, that will be the time. And then that's when you'll move to animating the characters from the animatic. Then you start to animate, which is my second step, since I just skip all that from the planning, the animatic, and all that. I just move to the animation. Like I'm saying, it's one person. You don't have to do that. You already, if you know, but it's always good to just plan if you want to plan. But if I was to make a movie, a full movie, planning will very much be important, because you don't want to shift around and move around and not know what you're trying to do, because it can get frustrating and kind of confusing. So you'll need to plan. If it's a big thing, you will need to plan very carefully. So yeah. So next it will be from modeling. I generally kind of mix modeling with texturing and rigging, because when I do those things, I just feel like they are kind of one big thing combined together. But you can separate them because they are different tasks. They are all concept on their own. From texturing an object, it's a little bit of a process. It depends what are you trying to, the style that you're going for. If you are using just primary colors, then it's no biggie. But if you are trying to add complex textures, then you might have to it becomes a process, something else, where you have to go some UV editing, and then the unwrapping and all that. Like I'm saying, it will depend on the style you're going for. So yeah, and then you would move to your rigging, where it's just giving your characters the skeleton, so that they can be able to move. We can be able to see their facial expressions and all that. And so here I just move from my story to my texturing, and then I do my rigging. And then after that, my characters can be able to move. Then I go to animation. And then animating is just using the storyboards that you did, if you did those. If you don't have, the story will still suffice in this case, where I know the character is doing what. In this case, she was cooking or whatever. Then I know, okay, I just have to, what I thought or what I knew what was happening in the scene is now me animating the scene. And then what I usually like to, I improvise when I work. It's like going to a location to shoot something, right? You had some ideas on how you're gonna shoot and everything like that. But when you get to the place, your shot kind of just doesn't work, and then you kind of improvise and you get a better shot, right? So those things are, they happen a lot. So you just gotta be aware of them, and then be able to improvise where it's necessary, and then to improve your stuff. But you must always have a reference uh, thing that you can always go to and use, as it's the backbone of everything, because you can't just go there without a plan. That will take much time and waste time, and you don't want that. So yeah, I would animate my stuff, and then after that I will go to lighting. So lighting is very much important, and is what separates a good render to a bad one. You might have done a great animation, but if you mess up the lighting, things just don't look okay. So you have to light your scene in a proper way. It depends if you are trying to mimic real world interactions, how light bounces off objects and all that. And then if you are trying to create a stylized look that you just want it to look good as comparison to just trying to mimic the world. You can see here I'm just creating a cartoon feel, so I don't care much, or I don't go much around what is, it looks real, or stuff like that. I just want it to look cool. So yeah, after lighting, I'll be done. My scene will be looking okay, and then I'll go to rendering. That is just me there. Um, After adding the lights and everything, and I think it looks okay, then I'll render my scene there. I don't go to a third party renderer. I'm still in Blender. I just render that. Takes a lot of time. It depends if you have a complex scene. If you are using a lot of objects in the scene, then you determine how long your scene will take to render. I use Eevee for these my stylized characters here for the show. I use Eevee. It's simpler for me to use, and I don't really need to go to Cycles because this is a cartoon, so I don't feel like I need to have that much detail. So Eevee does okay for me. But then again, it depends on what you're trying to create. If you're trying to kind of create realistic renders, you would want to go to Cycles as opposed to Eevee, right? So yeah, that's where you'll render, and then you'll move to compositing. Compositing is just polishing your renders, making them pop, look cool. I then again Everything that I do in Blender. I never even go outside. Maybe I might use Photoshop to kind of enhance maybe the brightness, the intensity, just making it pop a little bit. But I don't generally do that a lot. But in a production, you want to kind of go into a third party or whatever you're using, if you like Photoshop or After Effects, just to kind of make everything look cool. And then some might also kind of add VFX, like because when you do visual effects in the same time you do animation, that could slow you down heavily. So you some try to separate those things, and then they will kind of add the visual effects later. And then yeah, but I don't do that. So if I want to add lightning or water, I'll generally do them in Blender. But then again, they'll take you some computing power and then kind of slow you down. So you just gotta be aware of that. But if you have a powerful machine, then you don't have to worry much about that. So it just depends on how a production goes about creating its own, how they go about doing creating their stuff, either from VFX or whatever. So yeah, so that is just how I approach my stuff. I'm gonna be going through this after, like I'm saying, we're gonna start from the interface of Blender, and then we're gonna go to the advanced stuff like creating this and these stylized characters and animation and stuff like that. So yeah, this is how I approach my project. I just write a script and then model the characters. I don't even, because when I write a script, I have an idea of, okay, my character is like this. Are they like these creatures here? I don't even know what they are. So yeah, I have them in mind, and okay, I'm creating a stylized look for children. Okay, I'll create it like that, and then I'll improvise along the way. So yeah, but if you are working with other people, you want to spend more time in planning so that everyone is on board and you communicate your ideas properly so that no one is left out and everyone knows their task. So yeah, on the next tutorial, we're gonna be looking on the Blender interface, and then we'll take it from there, build up our skills, and constantly learn these things, because even I'm still learning. I'm no professional or anything like that. I'm still learning, and I look forward to creating this series of me teaching you the interface all the way to what I do here from my models and animation. So yeah, this was great to create, and hopefully you join me on the ride, and we'll see where we goes. So yeah, thanks for joining me today. As always, I appreciate that. I'll see you next time, folks. So yeah. Okay.